Could you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Mohsin and I work as a web developer in London, and I've been in the UK for 3.5 years.
Could you tell me what happened on the day of the earthquake? What was you doing before the earthquake hit?
Sure. But basically, I was studying in this boarding school where we were like more than 500 residential students. We had we have a lodges and dormitory, and right in the middle of the main school building is a huge quadrangle where there's lawns, and in the middle of the quadrangle there's a pond. So the main thing was this. It was a Republic Day, 26th of January 2001. In our school we have a flag hoisting ceremony, and what we did on the day was a usual bit in the morning, but in the evening we have a school sports day. So everyone's invited. The parents of the students and the old boys are invited, and we have a chief guest who comes and for that ceremony. But on that particular day, on usual school days we have classes at we got 2 periods. First 2 periods of classes early morning, and then 9 o'clock the second period finishes, and then we have breakfast in the school dining hall. That day, the flag hoisting ceremony was finished, completed at 7:30, and the boys had nothing to do until 9 o'clock. So some of them thought, let's have an early breakfast, and they went to the dining hall. Others, including myself, we went to our dormitories, waited for 9 o'clock. So usually during the same time, everyone knows where everyone is, but on that day, it was a bit scattered because of the ceremony, and because of it finishing earlier than usual. So there were about still afterwards we knew that there were still more than 300 people in the dining hall at that point of time. The main thing was that the dining hall has its gates towards our main athletics track, and that was because that was being prepared for the school sports day. All the gates were shut, and there's only one gate open that was at the back of the dining hall. So there's only this one way out, basically. There's another thing. There's this huge generator that we have, sometimes there's power cuts, so we have this huge generator that supplies electricity to the whole school. It's a huge area, geographical area, so the generator is huge, and the sound it makes, is the same kind of sound that we heard on the day when there's this grinding sound just before we felt the vibrations. So it's easy to confuse between the two. I was in my dormitory with a friend reading a morning paper, and the earthquake occurred around about 9:15. So I think it was about 40 to 45 seconds long. Now we were 2 people, sitting on the same bed, and we had this newspaper spread out on the bed in front of us. There's another friend who's standing and reading the paper. Well, let me explain what happened. Then we were reading the paper, and suddenly we heard a sound. This grinding sound was exactly like the generator that we have, but where we were, we can't really hear that so loud because quite far from where we were. So we were kind of surprised, how we can hear that so clearly and so loudly. But right then we saw this line falling from the ceiling, and then there's poles around, for the mosquito net. There's poles around the bed, on every bed, and they started moving as well. So that's when I had this feeling, the first feeling that there might be an earthquake, and my friend sitting next to me was also like, he had the same thing, and we looked at each other and we understood what we were thinking, and he just said run. And that point, when I started running, this other guy was nowhere. He had already disappeared. So he was even quicker than us in realizing. And then we ran outside the dormitory. It was the first dormitory. The next, there's another dormitory right there, but that's where the housemaster, who overlooks the lodge, lived. So I ran outside, and then we were on the first floor, so I ran downstairs. I never ran so fast in my life. It probably took me only 4 seconds, only maybe, to get to right in the middle of quadrangle, which is the safest point, right in the middle, so away from all buildings. Now I reached there pretty quickly, but there were already people running from all directions towards the quadrangle. So once I reached there, and during that moment, for the rest of the 35 to 40 seconds, I only stood there and felt these vibrations, beneath myself. So people running from all directions towards the pond in the middle, and just really you couldn't. It's something that you can't describe, because it's so incomprehensible. That what's happening. You just don't realize. I was just 16 at the time. I was in my final year. I was just seeing right in front of me our library, the walls of the windows of the library. You could literally see them bulging out of the pens, the windows, and then going back in as such a and the building is was 130 years old as well. It's like a very old building. So basically we just stood there for the rest of the time and tried to. Once it went, then people started gathering and trying to understand what happened, what's the damage caused inside this old building, what happened outside, because we are so within that in the boarding school. We are so within within that thing that the only thing we are not allowed to watch TV during mornings and stuff like that. So we aren't we wouldn't really know what's happened in the rest of the region. So, but our geography. One of our geography teachers did listen to a radio, and he came to know that there was lots of damage caused and devastation in Gujarat.